Hello and welcome to this new video for my YouTube channel dedicated to my hobby experience in Warhammer 40k. My last video was about my Harlequin army and it was over a year ago, so it was really due for an update. Today we're not going to talk specifically about Harlequins, but we're going to talk about Ynnari. I've had a lot of fun painting and playing as Ynnari these last few months. The lore of this army, the models, and the fact that you have a lot of options in the different unit that you can take really puts a new perspective on the Eldar army and how you collect it. And really, this has been a fun endeavor in 2022 to build this army and play it with reasonable success on the tabletop. Today, I wanted to present you the final list that I play so you too can be inspired by it and maybe start collecting your own Eldar or Ynnari army in 2023. Keep in mind, so the game will most certainly change in the next few months or even weeks, because there is a new season coming with Arcs of Omen. There is a new data slate that is going to change and shake things up in the metagame and in Warhammer 40k. There is also a new detachment on how you can muster your army. But I believe that a lot of things that I'm going to present you today and the units that I play will be still relevant for the rest of 9th edition. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation. As you will see, I put a lot of work in painting the models and I really hope it shows. In any case, good or bad, it's a joy to paint and it's a joy to play this army, and at the end of the day, it's what's the most important in the hobby. After the quick presentation of the army, I'll go into some options that I've considered and that might also be relevant for the new season. So enjoy the presentation and I hope it inspires you. So the list. I run a battalion with 3 HQs and you're going to see that all the HQs are psychos and I'm going to explain why. The first one is obviously the Incarn. The Incarn is the avatar of the god of whispers and death, that is Ennead. Ennead has been awoken and it represents a new hope for Eldar. And many Eldar now decided to embrace this new cult, and this is what the Ynnari army is all about and supposed to represent on the tabletop. The Incarn is a specific model for Ynnari, and it can only be selected in your army if you play the Ynnari and you want to play this model. Thankfully, it's one of the most beautiful model of the range and is also one of the best gaming-wise. What's unique about the Incarn is that it can teleport around the board every time a unit dies, to represent the fact that it is fueled by death energies. So it's a very mobile character that can jump around the board very easily, and it's also a powerful psyker, since it knows all the powers from its dedicated discipline, the Revenant discipline. And it packs a punch in melee as well with Vilidzar, the Sword of Souls, which can ignore invulnerable saves. Vilidzar, the Sword of Souls, is one of the Crone Swords that the Ynnari are looking for all around the galaxy. So it's a treat to play with a model that wields one to battle. Ignoring invulnerable saves, it's very useful, and so you can kill absolutely anything you want with this model. It is very important that you keep option on during the game every turn to teleport it, so the whole list revolves around it to make sure you either kill units fast and effectively with your melee units, because this is what Ynnari are all about with their army special rules: fight first and a bonus to hit whenever you lose a model in a unit, or take advantage of small units that are efficiently costed to score your objectives and also be options to teleport the Incarn when they eventually die. There is a lot to say about the Incarn and the Revenant discipline, how to play it and take advantage of its special rules. I won't go down too much into details to keep the presentation short, but know that this is the engine of the army and everything revolves around it, and it's a treat to play with the avatar of a god. For the second HQ, I run a Farseer. This guy. I mainly use it to have access to psychic support, like Fateful Divergence and Focus Will. The first one is to generate more command points because you have access to really powerful stratagem. I will name a few when I'm going to talk about specific units. And the second one, it's here to buff other psychers to make them cast their psychic powers more effectively. It is also my Warlord. I usually put Ambush of Blades Warlord trait on him to increase the AP of a melee unit every turn to make it even more deadlier in close combat. As you can see, my Asuryani I painted in teal, green, blue, black and white colors inspired by the Mimera Craftwall that I think looks absolutely gorgeous. And so this is my Warlord and a Farseer, a really useful unit. The third HQ is another Farseer, this time a Farseer Skyrunner. This one I use as a mortal wound dealer. I run it with Witchfire powers, like Storm of Whispers and Crushing Orb, to really threaten units everywhere since it can fly around the board. It is also, like my previous one, a Farseer, and so it can, in that regard, help you manipulate fate dice to have more option to use the resources effectively during the game. And I really like this model. So as you can see, all my HQs are Psychers because you live and die by the Psychic phase in Eldar, and Ynnari are no exception. Thanks to the two Farseers, I also have access to Warlocks without taking up elite slots. So I have also 2 units of Warlock, one of its own, and one comprised of 3 Warlocks. So 1 and 3 Warlocks. The unit of 3 is really useful, and it has a cornerstone Eldar psychic powers like Quicken, Restrain, and Protect and Jinx, because these 2 psychic powers are always good. So they're painted just like the Farseer Skyrunner, in the same color scheme, and they are 3 of them. I just changed a bit the shapes on their respective jet bikes. The one on its own is also really important in the strategy. To make him more stand out from its brothers, I run him with a bare head and with only just 1 stripe on the jet bike, so that you can easily see who is who. And so this guy, I run him most of the time to perform psychic actions, especially the psychic ritual, secondary objective. And he also has Ancestor's Grace, a Revenant Discipline power that gives a unit +1 to wound in melee, that make up for the fact that in Ynnari you do not have access to Doom. Sometimes I also run him with Embolden and Horrify to have another source of fight lust, which is really important in a melee-focused army. I also usually run him with the Relic Jetbike Sunstorm to have him, to give him a 20-inch move and also be objective secured, which is really important in the future as well, because I see that lots of people are going to depart from running troops, and so you have to maximize your sources of objective secured, and the Relic Jetbike lets you do so. So lots of mobile psychers to really support your melee units. So now that you know what the strategy is and how the psychers and characters of the army contribute to it, let's see what the troops are. So in terms of troops, I have 2 units of rangers, here. So these 2 units are really important and are kind of the tax of the Azurian tax in Ynnari to have access to other units, especially 2 units of Harlequins. So 1 unit of 6 Harlequins, and 1 unit of 9 Harlequins. You already know the models because they were part of my Harlequin army that I presented in my last video. Make sure to check this previous video out. I go down into details on how I was motivated to paint this army and how I painted it. So this is the troops. Rangers are interesting because they forward deploy, and in that regard are really interesting and powerful because if you forward deploy, it means that you have options for the Incarn. First of all, they can score you objectives and secondaries. And as I said, the fact that they forward deploys is also an attractive rule, since it means that if your opponent decides to target them and kill them, you can deploy the Incarn on their position and when they die. And so you can have the Incarn very close to your opponent's lines to wreak havoc with it. So these new models of Rangers are absolutely beautiful, and they were the first one that I painted in the army. I got them in the Eldritch Omen box set, and yeah, I really like how they look. This is the first unit I painted, and this is the second unit. I'm just going to show you one of the Rangers who is firing its snipers. I also kept the basing the same for all my army so that you can see that they're part of the same group. So Harlequins. Harlequins are the bread and butter of the army, and you can absolutely make them incredibly deadly so they can kill whatever you face with them. Along with powerful psychic powers like Unbind Souls, to auto wound on 6s to hit, Ancestor's Grace +1 to wound, Ambush of Blade Warlord trait to increase their AP, jinx the target that they're going to face, up the damage of their weapon to 3 with the stratagem Murderous Spectacle, ignore invulnerable saves with Oblivion Caress. They become absolutely incredible melee units. Thanks to their Harlequin's panoply, you don't care about screens, you don't care about the models that might get in the way, you don't care about the terrain, so there's actually very little that your opponent can do to protect themselves from the hell you can unleash with these crazy murderers. So these are the Harlequins that I play. As you can see, all of them have the diamond pattern on them, and it's one of my favorite models. It's the favorite models that I have in my Eldar collection. I have an entire army comprised of them, and so I have access to a lot of melee weapons. I do recommend that you keep different melee options in your units. They are costly, but they're really worth it. Obviously, one of the most important one is the Caress, to have access to, like I said, Oblivion Caress, to make so that your opponent cannot take invulnerable saves. But it's also important to have Kisses. Kisses can deal mortal wounds if you want to. And also, it's important to have the third option so that you can deal additional mortal wounds when you charge. Absolutely gorgeous models, and I'm really happy to have achieved this paint job on them. And they do harmonize well thanks to the blue ribbons with the rest of the army. So these were the troops, and also one of the core units of the army, which is the Harlequins. So 6 to embark on the Star Weaver, and 9 because this is the hammer of the list. I'm gonna make way for the elites. So in elite, we have powerful units with 2 powerful units of banshees. Another melee unit. I'm going to organize them so that you can see them. And I'm going to show you the most important models that are the Exarchs. So Banshees are great at what they do, and what they do is absolutely kill stuff. The Exarchs with the new codex really became impressive combatants. So both Exarchs are armed with the mirror swords. So this is the first one. So red helmet and green weapons, green power swords. I magnetized the arms so that if I want to, I can change their equipment. And the second one, also with mirror swords. So both Exarchs, as I said, are armed with mirror swords for the flurry of 10 attacks. And on one of them, I have piercing strikes to up the damage of their weapon to 2. And the second one have the nerve-shooting shriek to deal mortal wounds. And Banshee really benefit from the fate dice that you cannot use, sadly, on the Harlequins. You can reliably charge with them when you have a charge fate dice of 6. So you can really charge anything you want. And also with the advance dice, since they can advance and charge. So you can cover a lot of distance with these units, sometimes even more so than the Harlequins. And so that is why they're really useful and they're part of the list. As a third unit for the elite slot, I have another aspect warrior, the Dire Avengers. Dire Avengers are not a melee unit, but they're really useful in the strategy. And so I have a unit of 6 of them. Their role is to score me the Nephilim data secondary objective, since they can perform action and still shoot with their long Avenger Shuriken catapults. So I usually put them in the webway and dip strike them in a quarter when I need to score Nephilim data in, and they can still shoot at a unit. They are also a good target for the Bladestorm stratagem to drown the unit you target in Shuriken shots. So they are 6 so that you auto pass the dice test for the Nephilim data, and they're quite an old kit, but a really enjoyable one to paint, and I really love the look of this unit. So this is the Exarch with the 2 shuriken catapults and the back banner of its specific shrine. They were also one of the first units that I painted for my Craftwall army, because this is one of, it's a marquee unit of the Craftwall, the Dire Rangers. Now they're elite. They used to be troops, but I'm fine with it. And a unit of 6 like this can really do you wonders in your list. So after elite, we have fast attack, and fast attack is a really important slot. So I'm going to make way for the elite, the fast attack, so that you can see what I run. So fast attack, we begin with 3 shining spears. They have a new kit, and it's a treat to play with these new models. Shining Spears is another close combat oriented aspect warrior unit. They are fast and reliable. The most important model again is the Exarch, who acts like a mini autarch, and one can argue that he even fights better than an autarch on jet bike. He is equipped with the Paragon Saber, this weapon, and also has the power Hot Strike to deal mortal wounds reliably. They also benefit from all the psychic supports and are amazing at countercharge, and also fly on the edges to reach hidden units. They were quite difficult to paint to achieve a smooth white on them, and I also did some freehand on the jet bike for the Exarch. But I really love this unit, and you can't really play more than 3, because, as I said, the most important unit model in the unit is the Exarch, and they are on big bases, and so they are difficult to hide in the first turn, and so you only really need 3, and the 2 other aspect warrior are kind of here to provide more wounds for the Exarch, because the Exarch can deal more wounds, and it's very precious. Just to show you one with a helmet. So this is the first fast attack unit that I have. Second unit of fast attack is Swooping Hawks, and I run 10 of them. I do have the old metal models. Some of them I had since when I was a teenager, and stripped them and repainted them. And so this is the Exarch. With a lovely paint job. This is one of them, with their blue-gray armor and green accents. Really cool. So, Swooping Hawks. Swooping Hawks are not a melee unit, but they're awesome at clearing chaff units and screens to give way to your more powerful melee units. This is what they do, and so that your powerful unit can reach more juicier targets. Swooping Hawks are here also for board control, thanks to their Skyleap ability, and they usually don't get shot thanks to it. But they become absolutely insane if you lose one of them and they start hitting on 2+ with their rifles. Keep also in mind that they can deal mortal wounds thanks to the grenade pack's stratagem when they fly over a unit, so another source of mortal wounds. I absolutely adore this unit. It's taken me a long time to collect it because I didn't want to use fine casts for the unit, so I had to go look for metal models, but I'm really glad that I did so, and it's a joy to play with them and start clearing the little units so that my banshees can advance the board and engage the more powerful units, and also take objective with them and screen out the back of my table. So this is the second choice of fast attack, and I have another one. The last one is a Viper jet bike. So it's an interesting choice. This is a unit that can score engage on all front. It is cheap, shoots a lot with scatter laser, it is fast, and it can be easily hidden. It's mainly here to harass your opponent, and if they kill it, also be an option for teleportation for the Incarn. The same is true for the only other unit in the heavy support slot, which is the Warwalker. The Warwalker is also on the cheaper side. It scores engage on all front the same way because it's also a vehicle, and it provides also good shooting and forward deploys for the same trick with Rangers. So with these two units, you can score the table quarters, harass your opponent with the scatter lasers and lots of shots, and if they decide to kill it, you have options to teleport your Incarn to their position. And they have large bases so that you have some leeway to teleport your Incarn. Last but not least, I have two transports. One is a Serpent. The Serpent is here to transport the True Banshee unit. It's one of the best transport in the game. I also equipped it with the scatter lasers so that you can also have lots of shots to clear out the screens and the smaller units. So again, your bigger melee units and more effective melee units like the Banshees can reach their juicier targets. They also have an interesting ability, is that when you disembark of the Serpent, you disembark 3 inches from it. And so with the Banshees, you have 3 inches, their regular move. You can advance with a Fate dice, you can charge with a Fate dice. So you cover a lot of ground with a Banshee unit disembarking from the Serpent. And it's a large model, so you can disembark from the point of it and from the back of it. So you have a lot of options with the Serpent. And the last transport is the Star Weaver for the unit of 6 Harlequins. The Star Weaver is also here to provide you with option and help you protect the Harlequins in the counterpunch, thanks to the Curtain Falls stratagem that allows you and allows a Harlequin unit to embark in transport for their pilling move, so they avoid being killed if they didn't eliminate their target. And so it was also one of the models that I presented you in the last video about my Harlequin army. So there you have it. This is the whole list. This is 2,000 points. And as you saw, everything is geared toward efficiency, powerful melee options, board control, and options for the Incarn to teleport to during the game to make it mobile and difficult to to target once it did its thing. So lots of aspect warriors, which is awesome for craftworld units. Harlequins, which are my favorite Eldar models. Lots of jet bikes and flying options, because I love having flying options and flying models. And obviously the avatar of the God of Whispers, the Incarn. That makes the whole thing possible. In Ynnari, you also have access to Drukhari. I don't run Drukhari at the present time, but you do have options to do so. And I'm going to go over a few options that you can have and enjoy playing with. Let's see you in a minute. So, options for your Ynnari army to play with your God of the Dead. I'm not going to explain everything, but know that there is a lot of options because you have access to a lot of units in different codexes, especially Drukhari, Harlequins, Craftworld Eldar. There's a lot of options that you can play with. And I'm just here to present you a few options that might spark your inspiration or interest to play with. To begin with, just know that in Ynnari you have access to other specific characters, like Yvraine, which is who is a powerful striker and can also be a good option for your army. I tend to prefer Farseer because with Farseer you can manipulate fate dice, and you have access to other psychic powers that Yvraine cannot have, and the Revenant Discipline is already covered by the Incarn. So I haven't found a spot for her yet, but know that she is quite good at what she does and can also provide psychic support, and she's also a good combatant with another Crone Sword. So you have Yvraine, obviously. You also have the third character for the Ynnari, which is the Visarch. The Visarch is the bodyguard of Yvraine, and he's a good melee option. He's kind of like an autarch for Ynnari, specific Ynnari, provides some support in melee for your melee units. But if you really want melee support, psychic powers are a bit more efficient, and so you haven't found a spot for him yet, but know that you can play him, and he can be a good character to play your Banshees with. So these are the three characters for the Ynnari. So in terms of other options, I just wanted to go over another specific build that I played this year with Harlequins, and it was the flyer build. You had two aircraft. The first was the Hemlock, and the second one was the Voidraven Bomber. So you played with both these planes and aircrafts to first have Storms of Whisper on your Hemlock, which is a Revenant disciplined psychic power that deals lots of mortal wounds in area of effect around its base, which is a big base since it's an aircraft. And you coupled it with the Voidraven Bomber that has the Void Mine, who when you drop the bomb, it deals mortal wounds on also an area of effect where you put the impact. And so you had two planes that were zooming around the board on the first turn and delivering an insane amount of mortal wounds. It was really fun to play with, and at least for me, not really for my opponent, I guess, but it's a good option, and it's a fun build to play with, and also a different take on Ynnari because it's not a melee focused build, but rather something that but rather a build you play with mortal wounds. So the Hemlock is a really nice model that I really enjoyed painting, and especially the Ennead rune on one of its wing, along with the Mimera rune Craftworld. And also the Voidraven Bomber with a kind of Drakarified Ennead rune on one side, and on the other side a Burning Heart that is very elven in its design that I freehanded on the wings. So you played with both these planes, and it was really fun to do it. So know that's an option if you want to. After that, you have lots of options. As I said, in fast attack, you can run small units of Wind Riders. Wind Riders are cool. They're really fast, cheap. They were kind of in contention with the Viper. I preferred the Viper because it's a bit more reliable and tanky than the Wind Riders. But know that the Wind Riders are also a good option that you can play, and they're cheaper. If you play with Wind Riders, you can also play with Reaver Jetbike. They're cousins from the Dark City of Komorag. Reavers are also really good because with the Hypix drugs, you can make them move very, very fast, even faster than anything else. And so, again, score table quarters with them and be a possibility, an option for teleportation for the Incarn. They're quite nice to play with, easy to hide as well, and really cool model to paint as well. Still in the Jetbike department, you have as options the Shroud Runners. Shroud Runners are a hidden gem in the Craftworld book. I'm gonna link a video from Brent from craftworldeldar.com, who really explained what this unit is all about. And in Ynnari, you can also play with them very efficiently. They're a unit that can move before the game starts, that really benefit from Fate Dice as well. And you also have a dedicated stratagem that can deal mortal wounds and really hamper your opponent plan. And again, it's the same trick as always. It's a harassment unit that can deal lots of mortal wound with the snipers, have lots of shots with the scatter lasers, and also be an option later in the game for the teleportation of the Incarn, and also it scores you objectives. So they're not as cheap as the other option. They're more expensive because they can do a lot of things, but they're really useful. And when I played with them, it was also really good. They are on bigger bases though, so a bit more awkward to hide and move with them. Last, in the Jetbike department, sorry, you have the Skyweavers from the Harlequins. I have lots of them, but this is just one to again introduce you with this unit. Again, fast, lots of options. I have equipped mine with the Haywire Cannon and the Cephalic Glaives. If you want to play with them as Ynnari, I do recommend that you equip them with the close combat option rather than the Star Bolas. And yeah, again, fantastic unit, fast, deals a lot of damage, and it's another melee option for fast attack if you don't want to run Shining Spears or along with Shining Spears. In fast attacks, again, one of my favorite units that I have painted these last few months, the Hellions. Hellions are fun. Hellions are an odd choice because they aren't really survivable. They're paper thin and die to a swift breeze. But again, if you run lots of them in a large unit and provide psychic support, they can be really deadly. Not as deadly as Harlequins, but they're cheaper than Harlequins. They fly, which is also something to note. And a unit of 10 is quite interesting to play with. They are 2 wounds now, so they can survive sometimes. And also they have a weapon that already deals 2 damage. So they're a nice option in fast attack to build your army around. You can also make them more survivable thanks to a power in the Revenant Discipline that is the Shield of Ynnari that provides a 4+ invulnerable save on a unit. So you can target them with this psychic power. And they're here to they're the definition of glass cannon unit, and here to deal a lot of damage and then die. And so this is the I'm really proud of this model. This is the surgeon, the Eliarch of the unit. It's a terrifying model, and I tried to make them each of them really different in terms of paint job, with drug injected eyes. So all of them has some kind of magenta hue around their eyes, which was really fun to do. Some have tattoos, and I like this one as well, with tattoos and the magenta hue on their eyes. So it's kind of a pet unit. They're not as competitive as other options, but you can really make do with them. In Elite, you also have another aspect warrior that I haven't talked about. It's the Scorpions, the striking Scorpions. So I don't have the original models, but the new Garden Kit really provides you with chainswords and pistols, which the Scorpions are all about. And I modified a bit the model for the Exarch. He has a Drukhari helmet, hair from witches, and the weapon is the original one. But yeah, Scorpions are really good. Scorpions deal a lot of damage in close combat. You have options for the Exarch to make him a beast in melee combat, in close combat, sorry, with the crushing blows, Exarch power, the biting blade weapon option. They forward deploy, so again, it's an incredible unit, an incredible asset to have in your army. And sometimes you see people running 1 unit of Banshees and 1 unit of Scorpions. If you do so, I do recommend that on your Warlock that is running on its own, that you do put the Emboldened Horrify on him, so that you have another source of fight last that the Banshee have in their data sheet, but have another source of fight last in the army with the psychic powers is important if you run the Scorpions. Also, if you only run 1 unit of Banshees, I do recommend you that you don't use the Serpent, because you don't really need the spots for 10 or 12 people inside the serpent, but rather use a falcon. Falcon is this time really useful. It's a nice unit because you can cloud strike, which means that you can deep strike the falcon with a unit inside, and the unit can disembark from it on turn 1. It's a bit more difficult to do so because the falcon is a huge model, and so you really need to have a spot to land him, plus the unit inside of it. But it's an option, and for the Banshees, it's a documented strategy that works. So I do have one. And also in the heavy support options, you have the heavy weapon platforms that certainly can be used in Ynnari. Not for, obviously, their melee abilities, and to have the crew with them. Not for their melee abilities, obviously, but because they're really efficient at what they do, which is firing in the mid-board. And also, if you lose one, the other two have +1 to hit. It also works in the shooting phase. So yeah, it's a useful unit that you can run, and so to cover the mid-board. It's especially true if you run the aircraft build, because you don't have much things on the board, because the two aircrafts are kind of expensive, so you don't have as much infantry on the board, and so you really need something to cover the mid-board, and this is what the heavy weapon platform are meant to do. So here are some options that I have painted over the last few months and last year. Again, Ynnari are a very flexible army that you can build however you like. You can add more Harlequins, you can add more Rangers so that you can have more units of Harlequins. You can do whatever you like. You can build a very cheap battalion with Rangers and Kabbalite warriors to open up more points for larger units in the elite slots or fast attacks. Again, you can do lots of things, lots of options are available to you. It's really a matter of first taste and then options that you want to have in your army. I am planning to paint more things and more options for the army. I know that Hellions I'm gonna play a bit more with them because they're fun to do. There's also options to have more Harlequins, as I said. So I have plans to make more Harlequins. So yeah, lots of options, lots of things to do. You won't run dry of things to play with and paint if you play Harlequins, and if you play Ynnari, sorry. So sky is the limit, really, with Ynnari, and I do hope that you enjoyed this presentation, this kind of showcase of what I have and what I have painted this year, especially on the craft world side of things. Again, if you want to play Ynnari, just remember that everything revolves around the Incarn, and rightfully so, because it's one of the best model in the range. You're really going to enjoy painting it. It's an avatar of a god, just like the avatar of Cain is. And so you have your own little avatar of your own god on the battlefield, and really it's a treat to play with it. So I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a comment if you want to know more about Ynnari, if you want to know how I painted some units. or how I play them in depth, I'll happily give you more hints and more information about this army. I wish you a happy new year, because we're in 2023 now, and yeah, keep playing, keep painting, and I do hope that this year I'm going to take more time to update you on my painting processes and my new units. In the meantime, please feel free to follow me on my Instagram. I'm going to provide a link in the description of the video. It's where I post most of my hobby work and my experience with painting models. So if you want to see more of my work, see more of my army, and connect with me, please do so on Instagram. It's where I'm the most active. Also in 2023, I have a great project that I can't talk to you about yet, but it's going to be a great milestone for me if I can effectively do so and accomplish it. So stay tuned. I'm going to talk to you about it in the future, and it's going to be great. Thank you very much, and see you on the internet. Bye.